interesting times, and at a glance we seem to be seeing a bit of a mini recovery in the UK bus sector, with year-to-date demand at the end of August rising by around 6%. I said interesting times because if you look behind the figures and they continue to rise the way that we expect, then we might see total bus registrations recovering this year to around 2,400, 2,500 units. You could say there's some light at the end of the tunnel, but if you look a little closer, if we do get to the 2,400 mark, then we will still be around 900 units short of the 3,400 that was achieved back in 2009. So even with a fair wind, registrations could still be around 30% down on what was achieved only 2 years ago. I emphasise these figures not to depress you, or myself for that matter, but to demonstrate how hard it is to make progress in this very volatile industry, and how important it is to look towards international growth in order to balance the peaks and troughs of the UK market. And if the Transport Minister is anywhere nearby, he might want to know that we still need government support if we are to justify further investment in hybrid development and bringing next generation products to market in the coming months and years. Personally, I believe that after a brief rebound in the global economy, it's back on its heels. Persistent stagnation in Europe, renewed weakness in the US, meaning that the world's global output in the medium term won't be any better than anemic, and the risk of another slowdown is very, very real. But as I've said before, those who stand still in good or bad times are dead in the water. That's why making progress and growing significantly in a go-slow world economy is worth more than just a gentle pat on the back. I want to put on record here and now my recognition of a fantastic effort and performance by everyone at Alexander Dennis, from the UK to Europe, to Hong Kong, and from China to New Zealand, and in North America, where we've just made another major breakthrough. In the teeth of the toughest market conditions in probably 40 years, we've stuck to our guns and our principles at ADL. We're determined to raise the bar, both for our own business and for the sector in general. We've continued to we've recalibrated the way that we plan, we resource, we design and engineer and manufacture our products and provide whole cost support, or whole life support to our customers. We continue to walk in our customers' shoes, working with them to analyse data, to fault find, to determine, to resolve issues, to understand their wants and their needs, to work in partnership on improvements in vehicles of the future. Our reputation on quality, on delivery and customer support has moved on significantly in the last number of years. We remain First Group's only green accredited vehicle supplier. We have not missed a single vehicle delivery in 30 months. We remain unique in our ability to analyse vehicle off the road and vehicle return to service statistics, and to share our performance with our customers to continue to increase the bar. We're enjoying market leadership with over 50% of the UK bus registrations, and we're leading in all 4 key subsectors: minibus, single deck, double deck and hybrid. The midi sector, where we have now over 76% of the market, is particularly pleasing, as more than half of these sales are to independents and provincial operators, dispelling the myth that we are only focused on the big 5. We will have over 350 hybrids in operation by the end of this year, and we've now become established as Europe's leading player in supplying diesel-electric hybrid buses. We've increased our output by 60% in 3 years and now have a record order book of £350 million. This includes orders secured this week for 220 of our new low-height Enviro 500 double deck, a vehicle that we launched in New Orleans just 48 hours ago at the APTA convention. The North American version now takes on the family look of our Enviro 400 and provides an option taking us towards 13'6" height. This will complement the existing 14-foot transit and interurban models and open up new opportunities on routes that are currently restricted either by low bridges or the need for special operating permits. Simultaneously, we're introducing a new Enviro 400 open-top bus for North America, and we've made our first sales into Hawaii, and I'm looking forward to commissioning them in the coming months. Elsewhere, we have just received an order for an additional 40 Enviro 200 middies for NZ Bus in Auckland, where we are in the midst of delivering a first batch of 110 MIDI buses ahead of schedule. And our partnership with Kiwi Bus in Taronga is working superbly well. Very, very pleased with that. At home, we continue to further integrate Scarborough into our group, and this year they will build over 700 vehicles, including coaches, Enviro 200 MIDI buses, and very importantly, double-deck buses, again allowing us to be able to deliver any product, any time, depending on the vagaries of the market. In the meantime, you will see today the latest versions of our best-selling Enviro 200, Enviro 400, our elite coach line, and with hybrids on show in the ride and drive area outside. On other fronts, we're forging ahead with our low-carbon product strategy. This will see us introduce stop-start hybrid technology in the first half of 2012, with the potential for a further 10% fuel and CO2 emission savings, before moving on to extended zero-emission running intervals and ultimately total zero emissions. The latter being pretty dependent on advancement of battery technology, which our full-time technologists are very, very active in. We're currently investing, we're progressing a £15 million new product development strategy that will see the introduction of minor and major model changes over the next 2 to 3 years, coupled with our continuous improvement to leading through technology and innovation. This remains at the heart of everything that we do. As you can see, there's a lot going on, and as I've said, I can't thank the ADL team enough for their outstanding support. It's something I don't say often enough. We have a unified team at all levels and are well on our way to achieving our objective of becoming a £500 million business, a top 10 world sized business by 2015. We will see our turnover increase from 170 million around 4 years ago to over 360 million this year, more than double our 110% growth. We will grow the business by a further 20% in 2012 to around £440 million, with export sales representing more than 35% of our turnover figure. I'm also proud to say that we've been focusing on our balance sheet, and we became a debt-free business last week, reducing our debt from over £70 million 4 years ago, with very, very high pre-recession levels of leverage. Forgot to change that slide. All round, I think we're in good shape, and as the figures demonstrate, it's not hard to be proud of this business and the team that's involved in it. We're not becoming complacent, it's still pretty tough out there. There are a lot of battles to be fought, there are a lot of things still to do, and we are not short of things to do in the afternoon. So as ever, it's been a pleasure giving you a very brief update this morning. Happy to take any questions that you might have, or as I say, over the next couple of days, if you want to stop by and have a cup of tea or a sandwich, then I'm around. So thank you very much.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Griffin. I'm show director here for Coach and Bus Live. I'd like to welcome you all here to Birmingham for hopefully an informative couple of days of business. Apologies for a little bit of late running, that's our train scheduling, but I am delighted that we've got over 200 exhibitors here over the next 2 days supporting the exhibition. My task here is to formally welcome and introduce Norman Baker, MP, Minister for Transport, who has taken time out of his very busy schedule to be here to support the industry again. It is quite unique, Minister, that we have the same Minister 2 years here in succession coming to the show. It's the first time we've done that, and we are very, very grateful for your support, and I know our manufacturers and suppliers here are too. So, we have a busy schedule. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome and hand you to Norman Baker, MP, Minister for Transport.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that introduction, and thank you for being here today. I apologise for being slightly late. I know punctuality is very important for the coach and bus industry, but I was delayed by a train, not by a coach or a bus this morning, so you can take some comfort from that. As you've heard, you've actually got me 2 years running, and we are creating something for world record at the Department for Transport by having the same ministerial team in place for 18 months without any changes at all, which I think is the first time it's happened for several decades. I actually think that continuity in office is quite a good thing, and certainly I'm very pleased to be back here for the second year running. Buses matter to this government, and this industry matters to this government. The aim of transport policy is twofold. It's to help create growth and it's to cut carbon, and buses and coaches perform a very useful function in those two objectives. And obviously I'm particularly keen to see the new generation of buses we're now coming through, partly supplied by the funds we've allocated for the Green Bus Fund, but also from industry itself, which is now being very innovative, I think, in terms of the steps forward we're now seeing in low carbon buses, hybrid buses and so on. So I'm very keen to have a look around and meet some of the individual manufacturers in a moment. I think we've got a good industry here in this country which is stepping up to the plate. I'm delighted that we're sold out here, which shows some confidence, I think, in the industry and some confidence in the way forward as well, and that's good news. This is an area where I think we can have some growth, and I hope I can do what I can in ministerial office to help take that forward. We're also helping in other ways as well, and as you'll know, we have a local sustainable transport fund which I launched earlier this year, worth £560 million. The initial funding for tranche 1's already got out the door, £155 million, and of the 39 successful projects to date, 35 contain components relating to bus improvements, whether it's infrastructure improvements, bus lanes, bus shelters and so on, or whether it's bus service improvements themselves, package components involving community and rural transport response services, whether it's bus information and marketing improvements like real-time information systems, smart ticketing projects and so on. 35 out of 39 projects funded have got bus components. In them, 87 individual components funded across England from this fund. More to come with tranche 2 next year, and more to come with the larger projects biz, many of which include bus and coach elements as well. We're also taking steps, as you know, to promote the idea of smart ticketing, and I think that the technological advances which smart ticketing brings have a capacity to not just make life easier for the passenger, but actually to persuade more people to travel by bus and by coach. I think it's a real game changer in terms of getting more people on public transport. That's why we've allocated over £20 million in smart ticketing to the major conurbations in England. It's why we're continuing to roll out ITSO specifications on the rail network, as well as encouraging bus operators to take up the opportunity of smart card technology by having an element of BSOG, which is payable for smart card enabling. I'm delighted at the way that the bus industry has responded to that challenge, with many big operators and small operators now maybe becoming smart card enabled. And of course we have the ITSO and Prestige programme, which will enable the existing Oyster infrastructure in London to accept ITSO smart card by 2014. So I know there are difficulties around, of course, with the general economic situation, and I know there are particular concerns for the bus industry which we're attempting to deal with in a constructive way at the Department for Transport. But I want to say to you, we believe in buses. That's why I was very keen to come here for a second year running. We believe in coaches too, and I think the industry has a good future, and I want to do what I can to help you develop it. Thank you very much for asking me along this morning.
Minister, thank you. There's something of a record here because I'm the second year as